JFD, just fair and direct.
Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 15th of June 2020, so yeah, welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's afternoon live session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so now then, also just before we jump into the charts, as always, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, and specifically our JFD research page, which we also update on a daily basis. So yep, feel free to visit us here on jfdbank.com and click on the research tab right there on the top. Quick update on what's happening here. So the figure is getting closer to the 8 million now, yep, of course we'll continue monitoring this one, and we'll see how the situation will look tomorrow. Now then, looking at a few of the charts here that I've mentioned this morning. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the German DAX. This morning I mentioned that, first of all, we'll have a nice opening gap here to the downside, but as you can see, the index managed to fill up this gap, and yep, it's now kind of balancing near this 200-day EMA and near this 11,770 zone. So, which, by the way, marks the high of the 6th of March, and in a way, still, if this index closes today, for example, below the 200-day EMA and below this 11,770 zone, then yep, there is still a chance for this one to drift a little bit lower here. We are keeping an eye on this upside support line taken from the low of the 19th of March, and in a way, for now, we'll continue monitoring that that upside line, because in a way it could provide decent support in case the index drifts further south here, and further south, I mean, like I said, a little bit lower here, and like I said, we'll consider a bit of downside if we see this index closing below the 200-day EMA today. And but let's not forget that still this move lower is considered as a temporary correction before another leg of buying, because we're still above this upside support line taken from the low of the 19th of March. Jumping into Dow Jones Industrial Average, now looking at the picture here, you can see that yes, on Friday the index kind of ended the day just bang on this 200-day EMA. So however, it still it closed the week in the red now, because we had a strong sell-off here, for example, on Thursday, with a huge gap to the downside. So, but again, the index managed to recover somewhat, but still kind of it ended the day near this 200-day EMA. If we take a look at some of these upside lines, for example, if we draw this one taken from the low, the 23rd of March, you can see that the index is kind of still balancing slightly above this area, but if we look at the cash index, we can see that the price is actually now, let me just quickly grab one of these lines. So this was the low of last week near the 25,080 zone, but the price right now, or they should say the price on the cash index right now is currently near the 24,950 zone. So basically just slightly below that psychological 25,000 mark. Now let me just try to capture maybe that one somewhere around here, roughly not far from there, guys. So we'll keep an eye on this area, because it's going to be quite interesting to see if the index can manage to climb back up. Unfortunately for now, as long as it stays below this upside line and below the 25,000 zone, then there is still a bit more likelihood for this one to move a little further south here. So that's why, guys, for now, be very careful. One of our targets that we're going to be aiming for initially will be the 24,294 zone marked by the low of the 22nd of May. But if that fails to provide support, then a break of it could open the door towards the lowest point of May here near the 22,790 zone. So, but again, that's all this in the scenario if we see the index continuing to trade below the 25,000 mark. If by any chance this starts climbing back up and moves back above this upside support line, and the reason why I'm saying back up, because again, like I said, I'll remind you that currently the cash index is trading below the 25,000 mark, so we'll see a nice opening gap here to the downside. But if it travels back above this upside line and climbs above the 200-day EMA, then maybe there's a bit of hope here for the buyers in order to see some more upside here to the towards the levels that we saw here last week, where the high of last week was around the 27,580 zone. But again, for now, that the upside scenario could be slightly off the table in the short run. Gold. Quick update on gold. This morning I talked about gold, and what I was saying that keep your eyes on the, first of all, the 1723 territory and then the 21-day EMA, because if we do get a nice daily close below this, then it kind of increases the chances of a potential further move lower. However, given that the commodity is kind of ranging here for now, probably we'll put a little bit more emphasis on the area around the mid level of this range. So that's roughly around this 1708 level where the commodity is trading at right now, because that's the low of the 10th of June as well. And if we do get a nice daily close below that, then yep, we could see a bit of a further decline towards the lower side of the range here. And let me just remind you, if you haven't seen my video this morning, the lower side of the range is roughly near the 1670 territory. But again, like I said, for now, be very careful. Let's see where this where this daily candle is going to end the day today, and then we'll take it from there. Because if by any chance this gets somehow pushed back above the 21-day EMA or the 1723 territory, then maybe we could start aiming for the upper bound of the range here near the 1748 mark. Ripple. So Ripple is working out nicely here with the idea that I've mentioned last week. Basically, it drifted lower away from this 0.2053 level that I kept on mentioning for past few weeks, and now it's kind of it seems to be willing to move further south. However, we will be very careful near this level, near the 0.1760 mark, which may provide a bit of support here, because as you can see, it acted as a fantastic area of support back in December 2019. Also, it acted as a good support here in around mid-April, and then in May as well. So we want to see if this area is going to provide support this time again. However, like I said, for now, from the very short-term perspective, yes, we are leaning a little bit more to the downside, where our main target for now is the 0.1760 level. So let's be very careful with that, guys. AUDJPY. Now, this one is quite interesting because this morning we were very close to this upside support line taken from the low the 19th of March, and now you can see that the bulls and the bears are really trying to fight this one hard, and we want to see actually who's going to get the upper hand, because for now, to be honest, it's although it is still trading above this upside support line, for now probably we'll take a little bit of a neutral stand here, because for us to get a little bit more excited with higher levels, we would like to see this one pushing back above the 74.47 zone marked by the low of the 9th of June, and only then aiming for some higher levels. Until then, we'll take it carefully here, because again, we could see this one dropping sharply. We could see the yen buying kind of accelerating again if the equity markets continue to slide here. So yep, basically investors would be jumping into something more safer. In this particular scenario, in general, yen could be one of those kind of risk less risky assets to jump in. Now, in a way, from the technical side, we could what we're going to do here is we're going to wait for a drop below the 71.92 level and only then aim for lower levels, because even if we get a nice good strong move below this upside line, still the preferred case here and the preferred level after a break of which we could consider downside would be after a break of the 71.92 zone, because this would also place the rate below the 200-day EMA as well. So maybe more sellers could see this as a good opportunity to step in. NZD CAD, quickly update on this one. It is at a very interesting spot right now because it is coming close to its this December high here, the highest point of December near the 0.88 level, and as you can see, it's kind of knocking on the door of that barrier, because if we get a nice good break above this, then yeah, first of all, this would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and the pair could then start moving in the further in the northern direction. And in other words, also actually from the technical side, you can see that the pair has actually formed a very nice flag pattern here, or even actually we could probably before that it was a pennant, but before we get a nice good break and ideally a daily close above the 0.88 level here, we will probably stay a little bit on the cautious side, of cautiously bullish, but yeah, be very careful here. Like I said, it could present itself with a nice opportunity, and if we do see that strong move above the 0.88 level, then the next target for us could be here near this high, near the highest point of July 2019, and that's roughly around the 0.8890 zone. So keep your eyes on that one. In terms of the downside, well, of course, if it starts dropping below the 0.8712 territory here, which is the low of last week, then maybe we could see a bit of a correction here, a further correction to the downside. However, preferably we would like to see a drop below this upside support line, although it's a bit of a tentative one. Nevertheless, we'll keep that in on the chart for now. And this one's this line is taken from the low of the 19th of March, and yep, a nice good break below this could in a way lead to some further declines, but for now it seems that the downside could be slightly off the table. Now then, US dollar against the Russian ruble. Now, I haven't looked at this one for quite a while, but it's always kind of presents itself with nice interesting opportunities. Now, after a while, I mean a while ago, I've looked at this this idea where it was forming a nice descending triangle. It broke the lower side of the triangle and drifted further south. The pair found support just slightly below the 200-day EMA near the 68 mark, and now you can see that it's trying to make its way up again. But the most important thing is that it is breaking its downside line, as you can see, and but of course, it is, on one hand it is breaking the downside line, on the other hand it's getting a hold up near this 100-day EMA. So for now, yes, be very careful, guys. Keep your eyes on the 100-day EMA, and yep, if we do get a nice daily close above this, then yes, we will aim for some higher levels. We will aim for the for this level, the 72.63 mark, which we've previously looked at as a good support. Now this area could play out as a key important level of resistance. But first, of course, as I said, 70.60 level, that's something to watch right now. That coincides with the 100-day EMA, and if we do get a nice daily close above that, then higher levels could be met. In terms of the downside, we would prefer to wait for a drop below the 68 territory, and of course a close below that, in a close of a daily candle below that, before considering further declines, because a drop below this would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and yep, the next target for us could be the lowest point of March near the 65.32 mark. But again, for now we are kind of leaning a little bit more to the upside. Quick update on Euro GBP. This pair is stuck here in this little range, so basically this pair does like to range, as you can see. So previously we were trading here in around mid and end of April. We were stuck here roughly between the 0.8680 and the 0.8864 lower levels. Now this upper bound of the previous range became the lower bound of the range, this new range, which is roughly between the 0.8864 and the 0.9020 territories. In order well, actually this morning the pair did try to make its way higher. However, what we're going to do here is we're going to wait for that daily close outside of this range before we could consider a further directional move. For now, we're just going to stay neutral and continue observing the price action, because like I said, it's a bit of a tricky one, and we don't want to get caught out. So that's why we'll wait for that exit out of this range. And finally, Euro USD. So here this morning I talked about this one, and this morning I told you to keep an eye on this 1.1237 territory, which, as you can see, continues to provide support. So of course, don't get me wrong, we still have the full US session to go through. Maybe this will reverse and drop lower, but if it continues to provide support, then maybe we could see a nice rebound. However, as I've mentioned this morning as well, that we're not going to do anything right now. We're probably going to stay a little bit on the neutral side, and because we want to see how this level is going to perform, because if eventually we do get a strong move below this and we see a daily close below this, then yep, we will aim for a bit of a further move lower towards this 1.1147 zone, which is marked by the high of the 27th of March, and then we'll take it from there, because here we do have the 21-day EMA, which could also kind of give a helping hand to this level and provide support, as it did here, for example, back in the end of May. So that's why we'll be very careful. If we do see a drop below this 1.1237, then yes, we will aim for a bit of slightly lower levels here, especially this one, 1.1147. But if that gets violated, now this is where it could become even more interesting for more sellers. So that's why for now, be very careful, and today keep your eyes on this 1.1237 zone. So guys, I really hope you found it useful, and thank you very much for watching and listening. If you want to catch my video tomorrow morning, as always, my Traders Espresso, around 6 o'clock GMT time. But for now, guys, I hope you stay safe, safe both health-wise and market-wise, and yep, catch my video tomorrow morning at around 6 o'clock GMT time with my Traders Espresso, and yep, we'll have a look at some of these instruments, some new ones, and we'll take it from there. So yep, thank you very much, and bye-bye.